Good morning, everyone. This is Angie Rogers, DCEO for Economic Development in the Office of the County Executive. We will begin in just a minute. Just a note that attendees for this session are muted and will be muted for the duration. If you're using a computer, use the Q&A function to send comments or notes to us. We will take questions at the end, and then we'll pull from that list. You may begin posting them at any time for us, though. If you are on the phone, your questions can be sent to COVID-19@fscfirst.com. That's COVID-19@fscfirst.com. All questions will be answered and posted at pgcedc.com. Both of these addresses will be repeated on screen at the end of the presentation. For our speakers and panelists for today, you are not muted, and so we will ask you to place yourself on mute when you are not speaking. And we will take questions from attendees at the end, as I noted, and Ebony Stocks from EDC will prompt David Iannucci with questions that he will then punt to you. So with that, I will hand it over to David Iannucci from the Economic Development Corporation.
Thank you, Angie. Again, this is David Iannucci, President and CEO of the Prince George's County Economic Development Corporation. We thank all of the speakers who have joined us today, but in particular, we thank all of the listeners on this presentation. Those of you who have run businesses, those of you who have perhaps lost your jobs, those of you who are just worried about the coming months. We know that these are difficult times. We know that the economy of Prince George's County has been damaged, that jobs have been lost, and that in particular, some sectors such as restaurants and hospitalities have been really carrying the brunt of this program. But there are significant resources that are available at the local, at the state, and at the federal level. We know, however, that they are very complicated to navigate, that there are many questions that you have about your eligibility for these programs, how you apply, and what the criteria will be, and so forth. We hope to bring clarity to these many, many programs through this presentation today with our expert panelists that we have. We're very excited by this outstanding people you will soon be hearing. We want you to know in Prince George's County will overcome this challenge just as we have overcome challenges in the past. We will be working through these difficult days. As Ms. Rogers said, there will be a question and answer period at the end of this session. We know that you will have many questions. For the speakers, please know that the slides will be moved by Lori Valentine, the Economic Development Corporation. We'll move them. You'll simply need to prompt her with a next slide, please. It is now my honor and privilege to introduce our County Executive, Ms. Angela Alsobrooks. She's been a very strong and powerful leader during this crisis. She's also a very strong friend of economic development, of the business community, and cares very, very deeply for what is going on in all of the county, but in particular, we know that this is a critical time for our business community. So I'm honored to ask Ms. County Executive Angela Alsobrooks to provide welcome remarks.
All right, thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. I want to begin by thanking David Iannucci for his leadership. I also want to thank Angie Rogers for her leadership and the entire economic development team. They have just done a phenomenal job during this time of crisis, and I do want to recognize them and thank them. I also want to thank all of you for joining us this morning for this call, and I also want to thank you for the amazing work that you have done over the years to build business in Prince George's County, to create jobs, and to serve in so many ways as the backbone of our community. COVID-19 has really devastated our community in so many ways. We have heard not only about the countless cases of illness in Prince George's County alone. We're over well over 400 reported cases as of this morning. But we're also hearing about the economic devastation that this crisis has brought to us. I just heard a few moments ago, as many of you probably heard as well, that last week alone, we had 6.6 Americans to file for unemployment benefits here in the United States. And so these are unprecedented times, as I don't think we've seen numbers like this ever. And so we're in the heart of this, but we are in it together. As we continue as a government to provide resources and information to the public, we want to make sure that we are also assisting every aspect of Prince George's County that has been affected by this crisis, and that includes our business community. We know that this pandemic has been particularly unsparing on our county's business community. Small businesses have been and continue to be the backbone of our local economy, and we recognize that this time has been so challenging for all of you as we face these hard times going forward. The one thing that I want you to know and to hear me on this morning, if you don't hear much else, is to know that we are in this together. We're going to get through it together. And I want you to know that we are working as a local government in tandem with the state government, also working with our federal partners to ensure that we are taking the critical steps that will be necessary to not only make sure that our economy will survive this storm, but we're going to work to make sure that it returns to full strength. Yesterday, we announced the establishment of the COVID-19 Business Relief Fund. And thanks to the coalition of county and private resources, we've been able to pull together funds totaling $15 million with the purpose of supporting our county small businesses. What this means is that our small businesses will have access to loans up to $100,000 and grant funding of up to $10,000. Our Economic Development Corporation will begin taking applications for this fund beginning on April 13th, and the application period will last through May 15th. These are critical steps that will ensure that Prince George's County's business community will be better equipped to survive this ongoing storm. In addition to the support that we will continue to give the business community, and we will do so again in conjunction with the aid and relief that will be provided by the state government, who've been really phenomenal during this, our federal partners as well. But we also want to make sure that we're taking critical steps to support our county's nonprofit community. Even in the absence of a pandemic, our nonprofits do invaluable work for families facing difficult times. And these organizations also need relief in these hard times as they supply much needed aid to families in need. And so Prince George's County's Strategic Partnership Office is coordinating efforts with philanthropy, nonprofits, government, and small business leaders to collect and organize resources and funds for those providing COVID-19 relief efforts. And so I'm pleased that we, through the really generous donation of Sam Bren, we were able to announce yesterday a $900,000 donation that he made. He's a former resident of Prince George's County, and as a result of that donation, he made it to the Community Foundation and to the United Way. So $550,000 in funds will go to 19 local nonprofit organizations providing direct services and support to address the immediate health and economic needs of individuals, youth, families, and disproportionately impacted communities in Prince George's County. There was also an additional $100,000 in funds that has gone to support Prince George's County Public Schools to purchase new devices for students to access distance learning and other online resources. And $250,000 has been directed to the United Way to support small businesses in the county that are assisting with the coordination of food relief efforts. And so these are really turbulent times. They have affected so many, but we have now seen everyone come together to assist us. Prince George's County now has exceeded 10,000 layoffs, and we've seen a 28% increase in unemployed residents. And so these numbers are only expected to rise in the coming weeks. And so we will be relying on not only, again, our state partners, but the federal stimulus package that comes to include unemployment insurance and other benefits to really help our nation's workers to stand up again. So again, I want to thank all of you all for joining us on this call today. Thank you for the work that you have done. And in spite of the challenges that we face, I'm looking forward to a stronger tomorrow because of our collective efforts and because of our, this is a resilient county, this is a resilient state, and it is a resilient country. And I know that we will come through this stronger than ever. And thank you again, each of you, for your commitment to our community, and thank you as well for hanging in there with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you, County Executive Alsa Brooks. We greatly appreciate those words. Very inspiring at a time when we all need to kind of look ahead. It's now my honor to introduce for welcome remarks from the County Council Chair Todd Turner. He's been a great partner. He understands economic development in the business community, and he's just really sensitive to the needs of this entire county. So thank you for your leadership, Council Chair Turner. Please make your remarks.
Good morning, David, and good morning, everyone on the call. I appreciate the opportunity to speak to you this morning. I do want to thank County Executive Angela Alsa Brooks for her continued leadership, not only during this crisis, but over the last year and a half. I also want to thank our economic development team, including Angie Rogers, David Iannucci, Shelley Gross-Wade, as well as Walter Simmons from Employ Prince George's, as well as our state and federal partners who will also be on this call this morning. On behalf of my colleagues on the Prince George's County Council, I share the same sentiments that the county executives indicated. We are here to help you as best we can, and that's why this past Tuesday in our virtual session, we did it remotely. The County Council unanimously supported the county executive and our economic development team request for this COVID business relief fund, which you'll hear about today. Now, this is obviously a partnership working with funds available at the state level as well as the federal level, and you'll hear about those programs and opportunities to be able to apply for those funds as part of this call. We, as the County Council, understand that you as a county-based business or employee or a not-for-profit provide jobs, resources, and services to our residents every single day, even during this crisis, and that you form the foundation for economic development progress in Prince George's County. We're hopeful that these programs, including the county program, will help you as small, local, and minority-based businesses that are now facing closures, layoffs, trying to retain your staff and sustain your operations during this coronavirus emergency. And we're hopeful and working in partnership with our state and federal officials and the agencies that this financial assistance will be available to you and assist you during these difficult times. I do want to say the County Council looks forward to continuing our work with you as well with the Alsa Brooks administration if there are other things that we need to do to assist you and to assist our residents and businesses in Prince George's County. So with that, thank you again for this opportunity. Hopefully this information will be helpful for you, and feel free obviously to reach out not only to our economic development team, but us as the County Council. Even though we're operating remotely, we are still available to you to provide assistance as you need it. So thank you again, David, and I'll turn it back over to you.
Thank you very much, Council Chair Turner. It's now my honor to introduce our next speaker, Secretary Kelly Schultz of the Maryland Department of Commerce, a strong and passionate advocate for Maryland and the great things that have happened in this state, the great resources we have, a workforce, and for our ability to compete nationally. Secretary Schultz, you have a very difficult job overseeing the entire state and is from the economy as we're working our way through this crisis. I know that there are a number of very, very significant new programs that you have stood up in the Department of Commerce to assist businesses through the COVID crisis. Our citizens are very eager to hear about it. I've heard that you have had more than 12,000 applications in a relatively short period of time. I'm assuming that several thousand of those might be coming from Prince George's County businesses. So Secretary Schultz, thank you for giving us your time today, and please, the podium is yours.
Can you hear me? I think I'm just unmuted.
We can hear you. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you. First of all, thanks so much to Prince George's County, to County Executive Alsa Brooks, to the council. everyone, David, you and your office, for being able to bring us on to talk about these really important issues for small businesses and businesses in general around the state of Maryland. And thank you so much for posting the information about where to go to find additional information once I finish my talk here. But David, I think that you can probably relate to the fact that when we started in economic development, our entire mission is to be able to grow and expand and attract businesses into the state. That's our mission. And we're on really surreal times at this point, just trying to make sure that we shift our mission to be able to support all those businesses that need as much help as we can possibly give them. So I'm really proud of our team at the Department of Commerce and our sister agencies to be able to shift gears and address the mission that is before us. And with that came a couple of new additional programs for the department when the governor dedicated $175 million from the rainy day fund into relief funds. Some of those funds went to the Department of Labor, and I know that they are on the agenda to speak after I, so I'll just talk a little bit about the three programs at the Department of Commerce that may be beneficial. And I don't have the exact number, but as of yesterday, we were up to almost 20,000 applications for the two programs that I'm going to talk about first. So it has been nonstop, just asking for people to be very, very patient. These are programs that we've had to get up and running in a very short period of time. Very thankful for IT support and being able to put together an entire new database and a system to address the volumes of the applications that are coming in. And the Department of Commerce has also reached out to our sister agencies to bring in additional state employees that have expertise in reviewing grants and loans and processing what is the numbers, the sheer volume of numbers that we're dealing with right now. So I'm appreciative for everybody's understanding at this point in time. So the first program is the Emergency Relief Loan Fund, and that fund has $75 million to be able to put into the hands of small businesses, those businesses that have 50 or fewer employees, and they can apply for a loan for up to $50,000. And they have to have some sort of financial loss that they're able to prove for that. And that those funds can go towards anything from rent payments to payroll, any operating expense, they have the ability to utilize those funds for. The second program is the Emergency Relief Grant Fund, and that offers up to $10,000 to businesses and nonprofits with 50 or fewer employees. And there are, the governor has put $50 million into that fund. And again, these grants can provide working capital to cover payroll, rent, mortgage payments, utilities, or other expenses that are incurred during ordinary operations. I just want to reiterate that the loan fund, it's a 0% interest rate for the first 12 months, and then it converts into a 2% interest rate after that. We want to make sure that businesses have the greatest of opportunity to be able to succeed when we're all said and done. The other fund that we have created is the Maryland Manufacturing Relief Fund. And that is going towards manufacturers. We have $5 million dedicated to that in order to be able to respond to the nationwide shortage of medical and personal protective equipment that our doctors and hospitals badly, badly need. So what we're incentivizing these manufacturers to do is to be able to look at ways that they may be able to improve their processes internally, perhaps purchase new equipment or bring on additional employees. And we can provide a $100,000 grant to those manufacturers that can quickly, succinctly provide those types of critical need items that we so desperately need. That application is also on our website, and those manufacturers that have the ability to be able to adjust their existing manufacturing processes in order to work through this difficult time, we're incentivizing them with that as well. With that fund, we have put together an industry panel of experts and grant reviewers to be able to make sure that we're looking at those manufacturers that actually have those capabilities in place right now, and made up of industry experts. And we're looking forward to getting those pushed forward. At this point in time, we have roughly 60 manufacturers that have come forward to offer their assistance to us. So I know that you also have the Small Business Administration. We've been doing a circuit of conversations and webinars and video chats with people all across the state. And I know that they're going to talk to you in depth about their programs, as is the Department of Labor. But I really want to thank you, David, for your partnership. We could not do this at the state level without our federal partners. We did a webinar and a town hall meeting with Congressman Ruppersberger and Congressman Trone, and we have additional moving forward. So being able to have the opportunity to speak to everyone in the state is really very, very valuable at this time. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam Secretary, for taking the time. I can imagine the demand with 24 jurisdictions on you to do these type of presentations. So thank you very much. It's now my pleasure to turn over the podium to Antonio Das, the head of the Regional Small Business Administration. Mr. Das has a very challenging job because, well, the good news is the Congress appropriated $350 billion to be used for small business relief nationwide. He's had just a few days to digest that and to prepare for all of the questions that I know that our attendees have, our listeners have for the resources, the very, very substantial resources the federal government has. I know we in Prince George's County, in fact, view the SBA as probably one of the most significant ways of helping our business community through this crisis. Mr. Das, the podium is yours, and you'll just need to prompt Ms. Lori Valentine to change slides as you're ready. Thank you.
All right, great. Well, David, it's always good to hear your voice, and I'm glad to be a part of today's program. A lot of really, really good information, and I think one of the things that is just worth emphasizing, there's just so much support for the community, whether it's the business or the individuals, from all sectors of the government. And as Secretary Schultz was saying, we've been on a series of calls here recently and webinars. I think we all are fully on board and fully committed to doing everything we can do to help support the businesses and those that are affected by the challenges that the businesses are experiencing. So I think in the interest of time, I'm going to kind of move a little bit away from the formal presentation, and I'm going to really just kind of drill down because, as David Iannucci was just saying, this is a fluid environment. There's a lot of new things that are coming up now and have already started. So I want to just kind of modify my presentation, and I'm really going to focus on 7 points, and I'm going to go through those pretty quickly and then hopefully be able to address questions as time allows. The first point for small businesses, one of the things that many don't realize is that you can actually go to your lender. If you've got an existing loan, you go to your bank and tell them that you are experiencing challenges related to COVID. They are putting in place processes and procedures to do something they normally don't do, which is to give you a loan deferment. And that might be 3 months, it might be 2 months, it might be 6 months, depending on the lender. But the big thing about this is that they've gotten great support from the federal and state regulatory agencies like the OCC and the FDIC and the Federal Reserve to do that. So that's one way you can keep money in your pocket if you don't have to make some of those payments that you already are making right now. Point number 2 is related to the CARES Act. This is the component that was just approved last Friday. So that, again, we are literally scrambling to put all the particular rules and guidance together on this. But here's the key points to know. Through this program, we have a paycheck protection program, which provides small businesses loans up to $10 million in terms I've never seen before, 0.5% interest rate. There's a loan forgiveness component to this. So if you're using the money to cover payroll, you can deduct or be forgiven the repayment of these loans, depending on how much of that you're using for your payroll expenses. The idea is keep people employed, and the federal government is providing funds to help you do that. As a borrower, there's no fees, there's no collateral, there's no personal guarantee, and we'll give you 6 months before you have to make your first payment. So you're going to get the money, and then you still have 6 months to use it before you even have to make a payment. And potentially, if you're using it primarily for the payroll purposes, you may have very little bit to repay. A third item is our economic injury disaster loans. These are ones we've been doing for about 2 weeks right now. These loans are available as well. They're funds that we do directly through our SBA.gov website. I should contrast that with the Paycheck Protection Program loans, which I just referenced. Those are done through our banks. So we're doing 100% guarantee on our banks for those to help incentivize our banks to do those. On the economic injury disaster loans, the one I'm speaking of now, those are direct loans that SBA approves. And those funds can be used for working capital to help you keep your business going, to make sure you're making the payments that you have that need to be made. And they too have very, very favorable terms. And again, I can get into a little bit more of the specifics of it as time allows. The fourth item is the CARES Act Small Business Debt Relief Program. And what we're doing here is we're deferring payments on loans that you may have through SBA. We're basically helping to make sure you can make those payments. SBA is providing the funding to cover your first 6 months of payments on SBA loans that you take out. A fifth item is related to the SBA Express Bridge loans. Now, if you're applying for an economic injury loan and you may not get the money for, let's say, 30 to 45 days potentially, you can go to one of our existing SBA Express lenders and they can basically get a loan to you in very, very quick amount of time to support your financing needs before you get the money that you're expecting to get from our economic injury disaster loans. And so then once you get your economic injury disaster loan, you can basically pay that loan off, and then you're covered for the funding that you need. A sixth item is our loan application support. For a lot of businesses, they really haven't engaged the federal government. They haven't engaged SBA or even some of the banks on some of these programs and formal loan arrangements. And we know that in a lot of cases, that means it's a challenge to figure out how to put the paperwork together. We know that there are some people who are not very familiar with using the computer and doing online pieces. Our resource partners meaning SCORE, Small Business Development Centers, Women's Business Center, and Veterans Business Outreach Center, and even the Procurement Technical Assistance Centers, all have gotten information, have gotten training on different parts of our programs, and they can help entrepreneurs and business owners complete those program applications. And then the seventh and final thing I want to focus on is different than lending. And I know our focus is on getting money to people right now, but we think it's also vitally important that a business owner have a way that they can consult with and discuss the challenges that they're facing and talk about next steps, talk about adjustments that need to be made. And for that, those same group of resource partners I referenced a few minutes ago, SCORE, Small Business Development Centers, Women's Business Centers, et cetera, they provide free, individual, confidential business coaching and mentoring. So if you're struggling, you don't need to struggle alone. You can go directly to our resource partners and get assistance. And I encourage people to do that because that's a great way to get you as a business owner in a position to move forward successfully. So I will conclude at that point, and then again, as there's time for questions, I'm happy to participate.
Thank you, Antonio. Yes, we built in considerable time at the end of the presentations for questions, and I know there will be a lot of them. So we do hope you will be able to stay on. I know that, again, in terms of dollars, so the greatest number of dollars available for our business community is through the SBA. And if you could just say either the phone number or the website in particular that people should call, that might be helpful right now.
Oh, great. Yeah, so the main thing you need to know is SBA.gov. That's our primary website. It's our direct website. And through that, you can get access to all the information that I've referenced already.
Very good. Thank you very much. It's now my honor to introduce our next speaker from the Maryland Department of Labor, Deputy Assistant Secretary Brian Moore. I know that the Prince George's County EPG, headed by Walter Simmons, is a close affiliate of the Maryland Department of Labor, who also has stood up money to deal with the plight of our many citizens who have lost their jobs in the last week. So I think, as Walter has said, it'll be well over 11,000 that we are in a relatively short period of time. So Mr. Moore, thank you again for taking time from what I know is a very demanding schedule, and please, the podium is yours.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure being here this morning. Unfortunately, being here for the reasons that we are here has been very challenging for all of us as individual citizens, and certainly as professionals who are here on the front line trying to respond as quickly as possible to the needs of our people and businesses in the state of Maryland, and here particularly in Prince George's County. As we already know, it's been some unprecedented experiences here in terms of the unemployment insurance program. Just simply the number of claims that we've been taking since March 15th. I can go back to the beginning of March just to show you just in Prince George's County and in the state of Maryland as a whole, just a sudden spike. If we look at in Prince George's County, just the week of ending March 21st, there was a total of 3,792 Prince Georgians who filed for unemployment insurance benefits. The last week alone, 8,736. So we had a total of over 120,000 claims filed just in the state of Maryland over the course of the past 2 weeks. To give you some context of that, we typically have about 40,000 claims filed in a year. And we've already had over 120,000 claims filed in a 14-day period. That is expected to continue to rise as thankfully the federal government has responded to the needs of people and the needs of businesses through the passage of the CARES Act that was signed into law on Friday of last week. I want to talk to you about a few things this morning. One is the people side of things that's being impacted by the sudden need to shut down business and commerce. We have our regular unemployment insurance program that's available to people who lose their jobs at no fault of their own. Those benefits are available to individuals who are eligible to receive those benefits for a period of up to 26 weeks. The maximum benefit amount in the state of Maryland is $430. Thankfully, because there'll be several individuals who would not be eligible to receive those benefits based on the laws in the state of Maryland, and also the federal laws that governs this program. The good news is that in the passage of the CARES Act, there is a pandemic unemployment assistance that's made available to individuals who do not otherwise qualify for the regular unemployment insurance benefits. Particularly, these are individuals who are self-employed, independent contractors or gig workers, those who lack sufficient work history, and those who have exhausted unemployment insurance benefits that are the regular benefits they can receive over a 26-week period. Individuals only need to self-certify that they are self-employed, independent contractor, or any of the other eligibility criteria for this program. And so the good news is that we're relaxing a lot of the rules that are ordinarily in place. The state of Maryland, the Secretary of Labor, for example, relaxed the requirement to search for work each week when you continue to file to receive unemployment insurance benefits. So there's no requirement for a person to actually show evidence or validate that they've actually continued to seek work in order to continue to receive benefits. Another federal program that's going to soon be available, in addition to the pandemic unemployment assistance, will be the federal pandemic unemployment compensation that will allow, in addition to the weekly benefit amount they receive an unemployment insurance benefits, they receive an additional $600 per week. And this is going to apply to those benefits beginning March 28th through July 31st of 2020. So there'll be a 4-month period in which individuals who are receiving unemployment insurance benefits will receive an additional $600 to supplement the unemployment insurance benefits that they're receiving. The final program that's going to be available to individuals under the CARES Act is going to be the PEUC program, which is the Pandemic and Emergency Unemployment Compensation, or what we'll call in the unemployment world, extended benefits. And these benefits will allow individuals who are receiving regular unemployment insurance or the pandemic unemployment assistance an additional 13 weeks of benefits. And so everyone will be available to receive unemployment insurance benefits and the supplemental benefits that's part of the CARES Act for up to 39 weeks, as opposed to the typical 26 weeks maximum that's available to individuals. I do want to speak a little bit about a couple of initiatives that are available to employers specifically. One is the bulk claims program or initiative that we have for employers who are laying off mass employees at one time. So as opposed to the typical situation where an employer is required to submit a notice of separation on every single person that they lay off, through the bulk claim service that's made available, we're providing this that's going to make it a lot easier to process these claims in bulk. And so we are saying that we will initiate the claims process on behalf of those employees to eliminate the need for those employers to submit the individual request for separation notices. Any employers who are interested in getting assistance in initiating that bulk claims process, we're asking that you email us at the following email address: ui.bulkclaims, that's all one word, @maryland.gov. ui.bulkclaims@maryland.gov, or you may call the bulk claims for employers dedicated phone line, which is area code 410-853-1700. Again, that's 410-853-1700. And that is a dedicated phone line exclusively for the use of employees who are interested in initiating bulk claims. Another initiative that we have to benefit both the employers and employees, to keep those employees attached to the workforce, is a work sharing program. So essentially, the work sharing program works such that in lieu of laying off a group of employees, which will require them to file for unemployment insurance benefits and be determined eligible and receive their benefits, through a work sharing, you can keep these employees on the payroll, continuing to work. You reduce their hours as opposed to laying them off. And so let's say, for example, you want to lay off employees, but in lieu of laying them off, you want to reduce their hours, say by 8 hours. So as opposed to working 40 hours a week, they'll work 32 hours a week. So that's a 20% reduction in their work hours each week. We will give them 20% of the maximum benefit amount that they're entitled to of unemployment insurance benefits while they continue to work. So they'll be receiving a paycheck and supplemental unemployment insurance benefits as a way to keep them attached to the workforce, to keep them working and earning wages and not having to receive the maximum unemployment insurance benefit amount. And that's generally what I want to share with you all this morning. Though the CARES Act and the programs that I mentioned, that's going to be available to those individuals who are not otherwise eligible to receive unemployment insurance benefits. We hope to be able to turn that on very soon. We're still waiting on guidance from the United States Department of Labor and how best to administer these programs. I'm sure every state, including Maryland, unemployment insurance division has a litany of questions that need to have asked and answered to ensure that we are following the rules of the program. But the goal is, one, to relax the rules as much as possible. That is happening in Maryland, thankfully, to the leadership of the governor and of Secretary Robinson with the Maryland Department of Labor, and to get the money in the hands of people as quickly as we can. It's important to share with your employees, those who are on the attendees line right now, to understand that irrespective of when the person files their claim, they will receive full benefits that they're entitled to. That's going to date back to the day immediately after their last day on the job. So it's not going to become effective the day that they file their claim. We will make the payments retroactive. So that's important to get out to the community. I appreciate these type opportunities because it's very important that we get messages to people as accurately and as timely as we can. This is a fluid process. So as things change, we're continuing to update our website. So I would ask everyone to periodically go to Maryland Department of Labor's website, md.unemployment@maryland.gov, to receive constant updates on what we're doing in the Division of Unemployment Insurance to respond to the COVID-19 crisis that we're facing right now. Thank you.
Mr. Moore, thank you very much for that presentation. It strikes me that between the Payroll Protection Act and the CARES Act, both of which were just described, these two federal programs, there's a very strong focus on keeping workers on the payroll of companies and keeping them compensated. That is an overriding philosophy in terms of we want to make sure that the people in Prince George's County, but obviously throughout the nation, continue to be paid so they can pay rent, buy food, and all those critical necessities. So that's one of the philosophies we need our listeners to hear. It's now my pleasure to introduce one of our colleagues in the Economic Development Cluster under DCEO Rogers, Mr. Walter Simmons, who he and his staff at Employ Prince George's County are deeply committed to the needs of our citizens who are unemployed or facing unemployment, and the challenges that means from everything from mental health perspective to just the ability to come up with the dollars to make a car payment or pay rent. And Walter, you've got a tough job and you've been a great partner. The podium is yours.
Thank you, David, and good morning, everyone. Lori, can we select the next slide, please? So Employ Prince George's is Prince George's County's workforce development entity. We're located in Largo, Maryland, and offering all of our services virtually. You can visit www.employpg.org to get more information and access virtual services. But today we want to highlight the Prince George's County COVID-19 Hourly Employee Relief Fund that was launched yesterday as a part of the relief for Prince George's County. Based on Deputy Assistant Secretary Moore's information and the information that's publicly available as of today, we have seen over 15,000 unemployment claims. And as the Deputy Assistant Secretary mentioned, when the processes and policies have been implemented at the state level for 1099 and gig workers, that unemployment number will expand, but there will be assistance available. Lori, next slide, please. One of the things we want to highlight is that our COVID-19 Hourly Employee Relief Fund, we are raising $500,000 to support 2,000 plus Prince George's County hourly workers who have been laid off due to the COVID-19 pandemic. This will include the 1099 and gig workers that have been laid off or disconnected from their business operations due to the pandemic. Through this fund, we are providing $200 Employ Prince George's Visa cash cards that will be dispersed weekly via drive-through pickups. All this information is located at www.employpg.org. Applications to apply for relief fund assistance will launch next week, Monday, April 6th, on the county's Career Edge portal. That information is provided on your screen. Again, it's this URL or website is www.employpg.org. www.employpgedge.com. At this website, you will be able to enter all of your information, upload the documents that you can show to justify that your dislocation or your operations have ceased due to the pandemic. They will be assessed daily. You will receive a confirmation email that your application has been received, and once approved, you will be notified of a disbursement location where you can drive through and pick up your Visa cash card. Priority will be given to residents who earn $19 or less per hour prior to the dislocation, but we will try to provide Visa cash cards to as many Prince George County residents who have been negatively affected by the pandemic. The first disbursement date, everything will be moving fast, so the first disbursement date will be as early as Friday, April 10th. So applications will open on Monday, April 6th, and we will try to get the first cards dispersed by the end of the week, Friday, April 10th. Again, you can get more information today at www.employpg.org. Next slide, please, Lori. This is an example on your left of what your card will look like. We have branded these with the Employ Prince George's logo because along with providing the temporary relief and assistance through the $200, we are also soliciting discount partners. Now, if you are currently a restaurant or a retailer, this is a good opportunity for us to help you increase the amount of customers that are coming to your location to access services. Discount partners will be listed on the COVID-19 Relief Fund flyers, social media postings, and our website. It's at the discount partner's discretion to determine what the discount is for those people who are shopping and purchasing with this card. But our goal is if we are going to release over 2,000 $200 Visa cards to Prince George County residents to purchase gas, groceries, or whatever their household needs might be, we want them to shop local. So as a discount partner, you will be listed on our website, and we will be encouraging all of the recipients of our COVID-19 Hourly Employee Relief Fund to shop with the discount partners that are partnering with us and listed on the employpg.org website. At the bottom of the slide, you will see if you are interested in registering as a discount partner, you can contact Annette Chisholm at AJ Chisholm, that's AJCHISOLM at co.pg.md.us. That's if you want to register as a discount partner and be connected with the thousands of residents who will be shopping and making purchases with the relief card. Next slide, please, Lori. We are continuously raising money to reach this goal. Donations can be submitted at employpg.org. You can go to the About Us, identify the How You Can Help or Help Our Cause tab to make those. All donations are tax deductible as Employ Prince George's is a 501c3 nonprofit. For more information related to the COVID-19 Employee Relief Fund, you can contact Jamie Gunnell at JN Gunnell, Gunnell. That's JNGUNNELL at co.pg.md.us, or you can call 240-623-4286. That's 240-623-4286. And again, for those 1099 or contract workers that have been laid off or disconnected from their operations, you aren't able to apply for unemployment benefits as of yet. Beginning Monday, this is an opportunity for you to receive a $200 Employee Prince George's Visa Cash card, which will hopefully help you with some of your purchases and basic needs in between your ability to receive unemployment assistance. Thank you.
Thank you, Walter. Thank you very much. And I know that for our listeners, you're hearing a lot of phone numbers and a lot of websites. These websites do have a critical information, but this presentation will be available online. So if you're missing it now, we'll wrap up at the end. We'll repeat some of these numbers and websites. But this presentation will be available is being recorded and will be available for viewing if you want to pick up something you've missed. The next speaker will be Ms. Shelley Gross-Wade, who's the President and CEO of FSC First, which is the primary lending arm here in Prince George's County. Shelley has several decades of experience in this area and is as knowledgeable as anyone I know. I know that Shelley will join me in saying to the many people who are going to apply for benefits, whether it's unemployment benefits or business assistance benefits, we are going to ask your patience. You've heard some numbers that are kind of extraordinary in terms of the number of applications that we have or expect to have. So we want to know, we want to help our business community. We want to help our unemployed citizens, but we are, all of us in the county level, dealing with incredible levels of processing that we have to do, and we will need some patience. But Shelley, you have one of the most important jobs here in the county in terms of this new program that the county executive stood up. The podium is yours.
Good morning, and thank you, David. I am pleased to present to you the COVID-19 Business Relief Fund. Lori, will you go to the next slide? Thank you. Next slide, please. We have worked diligently to put together what we believe to be a solution, a two-pronged approach to supporting the businesses that have experienced immediate impact from this crisis. And that assistance will be provided to you through either a small business loan or a small business grant in order to help you to retain your pre-pandemic workforce and sustain your operations throughout the social distancing crisis. The funds can be used to support cash operating expenses, including payroll, paying your suppliers, your rent, your fixed debt payments, and other business critical cash operating needs. Next slide. As County Executive also Brooks and Council Chair Todd Turner has stated earlier, we recognize and value that our economy is comprised primarily of small, minority, women, and veteran-owned county-based businesses, which provide jobs for our local residents, as well as quality products and services in a local, regional, and global marketplace. Therefore, eligibility for these funds will be two priority considerations. One, your principal business must be physically located in Prince George's County. And two, the business must meet the SBA definition of small business. Recognizing that those businesses have already invested locally, new business ventures are not eligible for this consideration. So how do you apply? Beginning Monday, April 13th, businesses may apply online through a link on the Economic Development Corporation website. We will give you that email address later in this presentation. How does the program work? Next slide. The COVID Business Relief Fund loan program will provide loans up to $100,000 that will be calculated based on up to 6 months of your verified payroll and operating expenses. In addition, those loans will be priced at a fixed interest rate of 3.75%, and your term for repayment will be 3 years with a 10-year amortization. In other words, we will calculate your repayment assuming that it will take 10 years to repay, so 360 months. However, those payments are due within 3 years or 36 months. The interesting part of this is the first 12 months, there will be no principal and interest payments due. Those payments will be deferred for the first 12 months, recognizing that you need an opportunity to get back on your feet from this crisis. Personal and corporate guarantees will be required, and while you do not need to pledge the equity in your home, we are requiring a UCC lien filing against all business assets. The other positive thing is there is no application fee or closing costs associated with these loans. Application requirements are as follows. The business must retain jobs with the goal of hiring county residents for future vacancies. In addition, the borrower must maintain its operations in the county for the term of the loan. And we ask that you commit to a best effort to have 35% county-based small business participation and any future construction work that is done in Prince George's County. And lastly, we require that you provide evidence that an application has been submitted to the SBA or the state of Maryland. You've heard today that there are numerous resources being provided by both our federal and state governments. And we want all of our businesses to be in a position to make optimal use of all of the resources that are available to you. In addition to the loan program, next slide please, there is also a grant component. This component is to assist you with bridging the gap between those loans that you've applied for and your immediate needs. So if you employ less than 10 workers, you can apply for up to a $5,000 grant. And if you employ 10 or more workers, you may apply for up to a $10,000 grant. These grants will be evaluated based on the same documentation required for the loan program. And you must provide evidence that application has been submitted to the SBA and state of Maryland. So what's required for submission? You can download the application form from the EDC or FSC website. Those email addresses and websites will be shared with you at the end of this webinar. In addition, we require a IRS form 4506T that tells us that you have filed your 2018 business tax return. As well, we're requesting that you provide evidence of your workforce load as of the week of March 2nd, so that when we commit to bringing back those jobs that were pre-pandemic, we have evidence of how many employees you actually had and that you certified to that. In addition, the 2018 business tax return as filed with IRS should be submitted, as well as the 2019 year-end income statement. And of course, if you've already filed your 2019 business tax return, we prefer to have that. But recognizing that this crisis may have impeded your ability to file in a timely manner, we will take your internally prepared 2019 income statement. And lastly, your 2020 year-to-date income statement for January and March. Combined, those three documents will assist us in calculating what 6 months of essential cash needs are for your business to sustain itself through this crisis. Next slide, please. So we work collaboratively with EDC to come up with what we believe is a very creative approach to this process. The application, intake, review, and approval is all streamlined as a collaborative effort between our two organizations. We will begin receiving the loan and grant applications on Monday, April 13th, and that window will remain open for 5 weeks through Friday, May 15th. Throughout that 5-week process, we will continue to review and analyze the applications on a first in, first out basis, with loan closing being conducted by the Prince George's County Office of Office of Law, and funding will occur 2 to 3 weeks after approval. Today's webinar obviously has provided you with access to a whole lot of resources. We don't expect that you have remembered all of it, so therefore we have put together a spreadsheet that will summarize each of the loan programs and grant programs that are available to you. And you can receive those by sending us an email at covid19@fscfirst.com. We too are operating virtually. However, we're available to return your calls at 301-883-6900. And as I close and we transition to questions and answers, I ask that you join me in thanking our panelists for pouring out a plethora of resources to demonstrate that we are here to support you during this crisis, and we're wanting to hear from you on how we can best provide solutions. This concludes my report, my presentation, and David, I turn it back over to you.
Thank you, Shelley, for an outstanding presentation. And this new program that the county executive stood up just in the last few days DCO Angie Rogers announced it formally from Largo, and is something we put in place quickly in response to what we see as a real demand. What you've heard, listeners, is between the federal government, the state government, and Prince George's County, there are literally several $100 million in resources that are available to both unemployed workers as well as our business community. Despite that, we know that we're not going to address and be able to fix every hole in your budget or in your revenue stream that has occurred. And we're going to ask again for you to understand our patience, because we are all working remotely, but we are doing everything we can to get these programs up and running and responsive to your need. We're now going to do the question and answer session. The questions have already hit 100 so far. And so Ms. Ebony Stocks, the Executive Vice President of the Economic Development Corporation, has been trying to sort those, and we'll start to the panelists who remain on the phone, on the line here, the questions. So the very first, Ebony, are you ready to provide the questions?
Yes, I'm here. So the first question is for Antonio Doss. Is there a place where people can find the list of SBA authorized banks to see if they're eligible for the Paycheck Protection Program and the EIDL program?
Yes, you can go on to sba.gov, and there's an area there where you can click on Find Lenders. If for some reason you don't see what you're looking for there, we are going to be expanding that number of banks and lenders who are participating. We anticipate that that number is going to grow quite a bit. You can also call our district office at area code 202-205-8800, and we can also get the information to you that way.
Thank you. To our listeners, on your screen, you will see the Economic Development Webinar poll. I think it's a 4-question poll that we would ask that you fill out if you can. We're trying to understand as much as possible the needs of our business community and where you are in the various process. Ebony, you have another question?
Are counselors available to help businesses that need assistance navigating the application process?
Are the SCORE counselors available from a remote process? Do we know the answer to that?
Yes, they are. Pretty much all of our, this is Antonio Doss again with the Small Business Administration. Pretty much all of our resource partners are practicing social distancing, and teleworking is kind of the new norm right now. So yes, you can still reach out to them by phone. They can work with you. Their ability to do Skype or other kind of face-related communication exists for most of our partners as well. So I would reach out to them directly. And if you're unable to figure out who they are, where they are, again, you can go to sba.gov and our website and put your address in, and it'll show you where the local resource partners are. But there are several right in Prince George's County.
And I know, speaking for Employ Prince George's County, FSC First, and the Economic Development Corporation, if you contact those organizations through their respective websites or the email addresses that I know a number of you have, we will get back to you individually, quickly as we can, with as much information as we can. So Employ Prince George's County, FSC First, and EDC, look for our websites, look for our email addresses, and we will get back to individual questioners as much as we can. Ebony?
Are there any programs or resources available for self-employed, 1099s, or independent contractors?
It sounds like a Shelley question and maybe an Antonio question.
I forgot to unmute, I'm sorry. So yes, 1099s can apply to the SBA for reimbursement of, for funding support. And my understanding is that in the very near term, the state will also, based on what Walter Simmons shared earlier in this webinar, will also have an unemployment insurance benefit for 1099s as well.
Yes, and it's Antonio. I can confirm that as well. I think it's important to realize also that our elected officials in Congress, really were pretty diligent about trying to make sure we weren't missing key pockets of the economy, particularly in the small business sector. So they were very, very focused on trying to make sure everybody was covered as best as possible. And so the example in that question is a great example of how that turned out to be the case.
Ebony?
Can you provide some clarification on what is considered a new business venture for the
Is there-
county's program?
Yeah,
For the county's program.
Yes, for the county's program, if you have not been in business before 2019, you are considered a new business venture, and therefore we are not in a position to assist you at this time.
Would that mean you filed a 2018 tax return?
You should have filed a 2018 tax return to qualify for this program, yes.
You're right, thank you. Ebony?
So I know it's hard to estimate, but do you have an estimation of when funds will be available through the various programs?
All of the programs are up and operating. The state of Maryland is up and operating. The SBA is up and operating. The Prince George's County COVID-19 Business Relief Loan and Grant Fund will be available effective April 13th.
And just to add a little bit onto that, for businesses that are seeking to get access to the up to $10,000 advance that's available through the SBA, those dollars are going to be issued by the Treasury Department. And so when you apply for an economic injury disaster loan, it'll ask a question on the online system as to whether you're interested in receiving a $10,000 advance. And if you click yes, they're going to ask you for your bank account information, your routing number, and your bank account number. And then that information will be pushed over to the Treasury Department, who will create a credit to your account up to the amount that you're available to receive. And that should take place really pretty quick. That's a matter, we're anticipating that to be a 3 to 5 day turnaround on that.
Thank you.
This question is for Mr. Moore. Is the employer state unemployment rate affected by claims at this time?
It will be, but the state unemployment numbers, current unemployment rate is not a reflection of the recent unemployment numbers that we're experiencing right now, but it will be. The unemployment rate is a lag in time. It's very difficult to explain. So I don't want to get into the intricacies of how unemployment rates are calculated, but the short answer to the question is that that will be reflected the next time you see unemployment numbers for the state of Maryland. These numbers will be in that employment rate.
Thank you.
Who files for supplemental unemployment insurance for employees with reduced work hours? The employee or the employer?
That's a very good question. So that question is relative to the work sharing program. So the work sharing program is a program for employers. So the employer would have to submit a work sharing application to our office, and that application is going to be reviewed. Once it's approved, then those individual employees who are working for that employer that's been identified as individuals who, if they do not get their work sharing application approved, they will be laid off 100%. So it's an employer program but it benefits the employees because it prevents them from losing their jobs 100% and depending on public assistance and unemployment insurance assistance. So it's a layoff aversion strategy.
Walter, I didn't know if you had anything to add on that.
No, I don't.
Thank you. Ebony?
When does that work share program extend through? Is it 6/30 or 12/31?
No, the work sharing program is in perpetuity. The Maryland work sharing program was in existence prior to COVID-19. So our work sharing program is not a result of COVID-19. Now, I will say that the CARES Act includes funding available to states for what they call a short-time compensation / work sharing program. It's the same program. But for states like Maryland, who already have programs in existence, the benefit we get is twofold. One, the funding that we typically would pay in UI benefits to reflect the percentage of reduced hours that employee is going to experience, that's going to be 100% reimbursed to the state of Maryland by the federal government pursuant to the CARES Act. The next piece of it is that we'll get some administrative funding to help promote and outreach to employers to help them understand the program better and encourage them to take advantage of the program, because we want to use as many layoff aversion strategies as possible. It benefits the employee, it benefits the employer, and it benefits the state of Maryland's Unemployment Insurance Trust Fund because it helps protect it.
Thank you. I'm really happy you're staying on the line. Thank you. Ebony?
Is this presentation going to be available in Spanish?
I think we will make as much as we can available. I know our various brochures and forms are being translated into Spanish. I think certainly the frequently asked and answered questions are, and we can certainly I think we should make the commitment to translate as much as we can on this presentation into Spanish.
Additionally, this is Antonio Doss again with the SBA. If you have a group of business owners who are interested in getting this information and Spanish is their native language, we do have personnel who can provide a presentation similar to this in Spanish. We just would need to know and kind of coordinate sometimes.
Thank you. Ebony?
What relief is available for small business owners that don't have employees but have hired 1099 contractors?
Shelley and Antonio, I think this is going to fall in your box.
Yes. For our purposes, 1099s are not considered employees. They're considered contractual workers. So we would not consider them to be eligible as an employee in the Prince George's COVID-19 Business Relief Fund.
But they should be working through EPG then for unemployment benefits?
Yes, starting with the card, the Visa card.
Right, and from a federal perspective with our economic injury disaster loans, if you're normally making payments, quote unquote, to the 1099s, that's part of your working capital. And our economic injury disaster loans are there to support your working capital needs. So you should apply for that particular program. It's through our disaster program.
Very good. Thank you. Very responsive. Ebony?
Are seasonal businesses eligible for the payroll forgiveness program?
Yes, they are, as well as our economic injury disaster loan.
I'm going to again ask our listeners to take the poll that was on your screen, or it should be on your screen. We're very interested in the response from our listeners. The number I think is well over 700, might be approaching 800 or 900. And thank you all for tuning in, but we've got a few more minutes for questions, but please respond on the poll. Ebony, next question.
Are any of these programs eligible for the hospitality industry, such as hotels?
The answer would be yes. I mean, just as straightforward businesses meeting the, I'm assuming the SBA requirements and the requirements for the Prince George's County program, but I'll let Antonio and Shelley give specific answers if you'd like.
I think your answer was spot on. Yes, this is, we're trying to help every business we possibly can.
I concur, David, and we have not excluded an industry in the eligibility criteria for the COVID-19 Business Relief Fund.
Very good. Thank you. Ebony?
Can a business apply for the Maryland Relief Programs, the SBA programs, as well as the county programs?
I'll handle that one. We want you to. We want our business community to pursue every possible resource that's available. There's no penalty for the Prince George's County program. In fact, you will be rewarded for having applied for SBA assistance and for Maryland Commerce assistance or any other program that's out there. We're trying to leverage our dollars. As important as the county program is, we only know it's going to go only so far, given the demand and the larger resources that are available at the state and the federal level. So yes, apply for everything that you can. Next question.
If you already have a UCC filing for an existing loan, will you be disqualified?
The answer is no. We will still file a UCC.
Ditto from SBA on our economic injury disaster loans. There's no collateral on the paycheck program loans.
Ebony?
At the federal level, a business must have been incorporated before March 9th to qualify for disaster relief loans. By what date must a business have been incorporated in Maryland to qualify for the county's programs?
I think, Shelley, the answer is you've had to file a 2018 tax return.
Yes.
Can someone clarify what does EIDL stand for?
Economic injury disaster loan. That's the federal SBA loan program to help businesses with their short-term working capital needs.
What would you recommend for someone who currently lives in the county, but their business is located in another jurisdiction, say Baltimore or DC?
Well, I know the Prince George's County program is aimed at businesses in Prince George's County. So I think we're sorry that we won't be able to help a business located in another county. But I don't think that distinction will be relevant at all from the state or from the SBA perspective.
What if you're an independent contractor and you work in DC, but you live in the county? Should this person apply for unemployment in DC or in Prince George's County?
Washington, D.C.
Yeah, you have to apply for unemployment where your wages are, where you worked.
Okay.
Related to the question, other areas have now announced similar funds, so they should contact their local community foundation or economic development entity where their business is located as well.
Next question.
What is the maximum loan amount available through the Prince George's County's Business Relief Fund program?
The maximum loan amount is $100,000. The maximum grant is $10,000 if you employ more than 10 workers, and the maximum grant is $5,000 if you employ less than 10.
Is there, Antonio, is there any maximums on the SBA programs?
We have $2 million for economic injury disaster loans and $10 million for the Paycheck Protection Program.
And I don't believe anyone from Maryland Commerce is on the line, but if memory serves me, I think it's a $50,000 cap on their programs.
That is correct.
Ebony?
How will credit scores be factored into the decision making? Understanding that, you know, businesses and individuals are experiencing hardships during this time.
Shelley, I think we anticipated this question.
Yes, we did. All right, so I'll answer for both myself and the SBA. I know Antonio's still on the line, but he did have a time constraint. On the SBA loans, SBA will check credit history and credit scores do get considered or do determine your eligibility. Because we are following the SBA's best practice, we will consider the credit score. However, we're also evaluating when the credit score may have been impacted. If it is a result of the crisis that we're in, then we will take that into consideration. If the credit score is based on previous challenges, we will also take that into consideration.
Thank you. Ebony?
Do churches qualify for any of these programs?
I believe that the county executive announced that there's a $900,000 nonprofit relief fund that is being established, and religious and nonprofit organizations can qualify there, but not for the Prince George's County COVID-19 Business Relief Fund.
And on the SBA side, they're not available for religious organizations under our economic injury disaster loan program. And we're waiting for a little bit more additional guidance on how it works for the paycheck protection programs and some of the CARES Act. I don't think we said it quite enough earlier on, but because these programs literally are not even a week old yet, it typically takes many months to kind of take the legislative language and put it into operational language. And our teammates at the agency are working super overtime to try to put all the details in place. So we'll have more information in the coming days and weeks.
Antonio, I really want to acknowledge the challenge you face. We are aware of Congress passing the $2 trillion program just last Friday, 6 days ago, and that we are asking you to describe something that you probably hadn't even seen the legislation. So we really have appreciated you staying on the line, because I know you had a time constraint, and the challenge you face in addressing the complicated programs that are literally just days old.
Well, thank you for that, David. And the needs of the Prince George's County businesses are important to SBA, so I wanted to make sure I could stay as long as I possibly could.
Yeah. So we're down to our last 2-3 minutes on this presentation. So Ebony, we probably have time for a couple more questions.
Okay, for the work sharing program, can that be used on employees that work within Prince George's County but reside outside of the state of Maryland?
Yes.
Brian and Walter?
Yeah, this is Brian. The answer is yes, because remember, it is an employer program. So that employer will be doing business in Prince George's County, which means that employee is earning wages in Prince George's County, which means that employee will file for unemployment insurance benefits in the state of Maryland and will get credit for being part of the work sharing program. They will get a reduction in their unemployment benefits commensurate to the reduction in the hours that they work.
Very good. Ebony, I think this might be maybe our last question. Let's see.
Okay. How are the 50 employee threshold defined? Is this based on full-time or part-time employees? And I would say the same question for the county's program with the 10 employee threshold.
Okay, I'll answer for the County COVID Business Relief Fund. We are looking for full-time equivalent positions. So we want to make sure that as many of our county residents have the ability to retain their jobs as possible so that they can continue to support their families along with all the other resources that are available to them. So for us, we're looking for full-time.
Ebony, let's try and squeeze one more in.
I will say that a couple of the viewers can't see the poll.
All right. I'm not sure I know technically where it is. It was on my screen.
This is
David,
Angie Rogers.
are they on phone?
I see probably 6 people aren't able to see the poll.
Yeah, if you're on the screen, on the bottom of your screen, right in the very center, there's a button that says polls, and it'll pop up there. Well, I think I'm going to, at this point, we're going to wrap up and say to our speakers, thank you so sincerely on behalf of the county executive and all of us in Prince George's County for giving us your time. Antonio Das, Mr. Moore from Labor, Secretary Schultz, Walter, and Shelley in particular. Thank you for being part of this presentation. To our listeners, and I see the numbers, we topped over 800 at one point. That's very significant that you took the time from probably some very stressful, difficult days. If you're running a business, you watched your customers disappear, you've seen an executive order saying you can't open, and you're really wondering what the future is going to be as we're all dealing with this stay-at-home order. It's probably going to last through, obviously, the end of April, and we'll see what goes beyond that. We want you to know the Prince George's County is concerned. We care. We care about our unemployed citizens. We cared about our businesses that have invested in Prince George's County and that are now struggling to keep things going. These resources are there. The county level, the state level, and federal level, tremendous amount of information. You can see the last slide here with some of the websites out there. PGCEDC.com is the Economic Development Corporation website. We've got a wealth of information there, a lot of material on all of these programs. FSC's also has, as they talked about, putting the matrix together for the different programs. So I'm going to close this out and say, on behalf of County Executive Angela Alsobrooks, Council Chair Turner, all of us in Prince George's County, and thank you to our listeners and to our attendees for joining us in this very important presentation. We will get through this. We will return to normal, but we've got some hard days ahead of us we've all heard about. So thank you all very much. With that, I'll close off this presentation. Thank you all.
Thank you.